believe scientists. That's what this whole series was. It was believe scientists whose literal job is to tell you, oh, the Earth is mad.
Are you gonna tell
Okay,
me
I
wrong?
believe you.
Yeah.
You have a device that reads the anger of the Earth. What, do I know what the Earth does?
Are you gonna tell me I'm wrong?
You're gonna tell them they're wrong? No, I'm sorry.
Someone will. That's the
I
problem.
went to YouTube University. Get out of here. Believe scientists. That's what this series is. I'm Gabe.
And I'm Kat.
And we're
The
Ghouls Next Door. Thank you. And we are a media literacy show from a horror lens where we explore the real life, historical, societal, psychological influences behind our cinematic fears. So essentially, it is part media literacy where we're breaking down the content that we're watching, generally horror, sometimes sci-fi, sometimes drama, sometimes an animated child show, but is very horrific when you think about it.
Yeah.
And then we also step outside of the media and we talk about the specific themes and how that is operating in the world, whether that's psychological, historical, scientific, and that's all Kat.
Yeah. In case you didn't know, the world is like on fire, historically speaking, for a long time. It's depressing, but we make it slightly less depressing, hopefully.
Yes, I lost my script.
It's on the ground.
Thank you.
I'll if you want to get it, I can get it.
Usually we do this in our house.
Yeah, where no one's watching us instead.
Oh, thank you for being my eyes.
Yeah.
When I could not see.
You're welcome, babe.
You lift me up.
Aw.
So I can stand on mountains. Yes, so 300 kind of feels insane. And when we were trying to figure out what to do for this episode, it was kind of weird for us because we've done celebration episodes for 100, where we're just like, woo, we did it. 200, we have a faux award show hosted by Roland back there. Hi, Roland.
Hi, Roland.
So we're doing like half retrospective, let's look back on what the Ghouls have done, and then half an actual episode of the Ghouls talking about Squid Game, which is why we're in the attire that we're in.
Yeah. We'll have you play Squid Games, but without the murder.
A little murder, but like you get to live.
Maybe.
Yeah, so I mean, 300 episodes. Kat, what do you feel like you have learned in 300 episodes?
300 episodes. What have I learned?
Putting you on the spot.
I think the best part is that, like, when we started this, we were just kind of friends, and then we kept going, and then I was like, wow, maybe we're like best friends? Do you want to like be my best friend? And then we just kept going. And also, it's like, I didn't know I could be on a stage and not want to vomit on the floor. So that's exciting. And yeah, just a lot about the world. I feel like the best part of our show is that we're constantly learning things. And while that's like a lot, it's made me a better person, I want to say. Like, I just feel like, oh, wow, this is a lot on my brain, but it was a necessary ouch. And maybe that's what horror is. Maybe that's what we are. We're a necessary ouch.
I agree. I think horror is a necessary ouch.
What about you, Gabe?
Thank you. Yeah, I think, back to 2017 in our like slumlord apartment in our living room that didn't have any windows.
No windows. That's illegal in Philly. Did you know?
It was really depressing. In a really dark time in our lives. We were just like miserable.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally.
We're really sad.
We were so miserable. And we had bonded, like our friendship formed over a mutual love for horror, just like geeking out about it. And so we were like, I was obsessed with podcasts, so I was like one of the first people. I know there's a lot out there.
I like podcasts before they were cool.
But I was one of the first people that was like, I can do that. I can get a microphone. I work for a radio and TV station. And so I was like, let's do it. But I think the highlight of the fact that I did, in fact, work at a radio and TV station was I was asked right out the gate as we were kind of conceptualizing the show, what makes our show different? Especially thinking of like how oversaturated, especially now, but even then, the podcast world is. What makes our show stand out? So we're not just like, oh, my friends are so funny, so we're just gonna talk at you, and everyone's gonna know how funny my friends are. No, we set out with this specific goal to learn and educate, and it took us a long time to get to that point for sure.
Therapy.
Growth, healing. Yeah, I'd say like our first like year and a half, we were just like, right? We laughed a lot at our own jokes. We still do, but I think they're also funny. So.
Yeah, we become less insufferable over time, like wine.
Okay. Yeah, and I think in specifically 2019, we took this turn where we were like, no, we're gonna do things on purpose. And I think the kickstart was like we did our New Year, New Me series, and we were talking about like Jennifer's Body, classic, right? But it really just opened this whole world of like, wow, horror has been talking about how hard it is to be a woman or femme person in the world. And here's how they do it. Like, we were reading articles in books. And I was like, wait a second, are we like smart? Am I better than everyone? No.
No.
But we were better podcasters than we had been.
Yeah.
And that just grew until like we decided to do video content and all of that. I will say, if you were watching the slideshow from before and all our fun costumes, that started before we were visual, when we were just audio-based podcast. The first day we were doing our episode about clowns, and neither one of us wanted to do it. We were tired. We had to go out clubbing afterwards.
Yeah, we had to go to the Dolphin, you know.
We had yeah. We had priorities. And so I was like, well, what if we dress up like clowns? We just put some lipstick on our face. And that just like changed, like we were like, oh, this is fun now. And so we would honestly do that. We would dress up for episodes that people wouldn't see our faces for. We would take a picture of.
Yeah, just to get like in character, like
yeah,
in the scene.
It's some of the best ones. Like we did a whole performance for our haunted house episode where we pretended our basement was haunted. June was in our basement. Where are you? You lived in our basement. Anyone who was on our show was in our basement. So I guess lore-wise, you all live in our basement now.
Yeah.
The basement of our hearts.
Yeah. Not a real basement. That would be illegal.
And we've left that. It's behind us now. We're healed.
Yeah.
And so then when we decided to do video content, I was like, let's bring it back. Now people can actually see us. There's a good reason. So that's why we have a lot of funny costumes throughout the year.
Yeah. You can, I think the most confidence we have is the more absurd that we are. Just like so out of body, like an alien or a Jason Statham or a
Nosferatu.
Yeah.
Or the creature
from the lagoon.
The Black Lagoon, but hot.
Yeah, hot fish.
You know? The creature that you don't want to have a relationship with. They're really emotional and connected. Yeah. So we, in our look back, wanted to talk about one thing that we find. So we do learn a lot. Like I've learned about time travel. I've learned about parallel universes. I've learned about,
all the ways we can go out of this world in an apocalypse. What weather does.
What weather does. What happens to the body in weather. Yeah. We've also learned how to fight off bears.
Yeah. The systemic nature of capitalism, sexism, and the patriarchy.
Yeah.
And other things.
We have learned that whenever we ask the question, like, who's the real villain of this film or show or whatever media we're covering, it's always the three-headed beast. It is either capitalism, white supremacy, or the patriarchy. Yeah. Sometimes all three if you're lucky.
Yeah, sometimes they're like buddies, like in a room, and you're like, can you guys go home?
It's funny because we'll be like, all right, we'll do a fun one. You know, like when you're taking pictures and you're like, okay, do a goofy one. And then we're like, dang it, it's capitalism again.
They got us. It's like Scooby-Doo. You unmask it, it's capitalism the whole time.
Classic. It's white supremacy. It's the patriarchy.
Yeah.
Gosh, like give us a chance, you know? Let
Got
us
me
mess
again.
something up. Yeah, I think the other part of what we do is not just our shows. We will talk more about our shows, but we've also made 4 amazing films and are currently working on our 5th film.
Yeah.
Woo! Shout out to our wonderful crew of like notoriously usually 5, sometimes 6 people. But shout out to Roland, who is our lovely cinematographer. Would not happen. And then the lovely Booze Next Door. Booze Next Door, who always show up. And then our last film, Cam. Shout out to Cam. Sergio was there on our first film, Saw 9. Yes. And you know, the films are always like, how can we just have fun because things get so heavy when we're covering things, and sometimes we're like, are you depressed? I'm depressed. Like, let's do something silly.
Let's make a short film.
And then we're like, yeah, we'll make a horror comedy. And as time has gone on, you know, our next film is one that is still a horror comedy. We're not like leaving that realm. But it does explore like grief and this feeling of loss and how you want to reconnect with people that you've lost, and how that never truly goes away. And so we're kind of using, you know, the fun films we've had to then grow our skills and broaden them. And so shout out to Termite TV for letting us like kick that off. So we've started half of it. And so TBD this summer.
Yeah.
Roland this summer.
Maybe in time for our Tinfinity anniversary of being friends for 10 years.
July.
Maybe we'll release it then. We'll find out.
Yes. Fun fact, when Kat and I first met, we did not like each other.
Yeah.
We were roommates, and we hated each other.
Yeah, we were both individually a tornado of trauma and unregulated emotions. And then we learned that, like, oh, we have stuff in common, and actually, like, we should be friends instead of enemies.
Yeah, and now we're going to celebrate 10 years of being friends instead of enemies.
Yeah, pretty rad.
Awesome. So one thing we want to shout out before we get into the fun Squid Games of it all is a look back on some of our favorite things. So for those who are familiar with the Ghouls, we do generally have series. So we'll like unpack different films under an umbrella of an idea, like a theme, so that we can kind of use that to guide what films we're talking about and how it's being explored in different ways, which
Purpose.
Yeah, it helps us like feel like guided and structured in that. I do want to give a shout out to folks. If you have been a guest on the Ghouls Next Door, will you raise your hand? People can see. Yeah, yes.
We're all famous
Round of
now.
applause.
Because we're on a stage and you know us, so fame.
Who's been on our show 2 times? Sergio. Okay. Who's been on our show 3 times? The Boo Next Door. I think you have been. I was like, yeah. The Booze Next Door, I'm sorry. They did host one time as us.
Yeah. Nose noises included.
And they said dope. Mike made sure to say dope a lot because that was like my catchphrase at the time. Because we did monstrous women, and then we were like, we can't speak on monstrous men. That's not our place. So we had them, but they pretended to be us, and they really committed to the bit. So I highly recommend dig for it. It's like episode 15 or something. So listen to these 2, and they were like newly ours. Like
yeah, we had
they
just
were
started dating.
They were fresh.
Yeah.
They didn't know what they were getting into. They were like, sure, like, they could make. And it was cute. And then we were like, we'll keep them.
Now you're married.
Yes.
I'm getting married.
Yes.
Oh,
It's happening.
you should have known. It was forever.
This October, coming to you. I don't know. You're coming to them. What do I have?
Okay.
Excellent. So one of the first series that I wanted to highlight was our Natty Disasters. That's natural disasters in layman's terms. This was stemmed from Kat's real fear of the weather.
Yeah. When
And
I was
what it
little,
could do.
I used to pack like a backpack filled with Beanie Babies and like my favorite pillows and would be like, we're going to hide in the closet because there's a hurricane coming. There wasn't a hurricane coming. I was just really anxious. So I would do like weather drills. It was like 5 years old, and that's what inspired this.
Yeah. So this was where we uncovered some films that were revolved around natural disasters, and part of it was me talking about whether or not that film did a good job of showing what happens in a natural disaster. The other part was Kat telling you what happens in a natural disaster and how to be prepared. And it is one of the series that has my like least favorite film, one of my least favorite films right here. No one watched that. I love, if anyone knows me, my favorite subgenre of horror is found footage horror films. That is a found footage, that's pretending to be found footage films, and it's bad.
It's bad.
It makes me really angry.
So don't watch it.
This will make you cry if you have a soul. This is scary and makes you mad. Believe scientists. That's what this whole series was. It was believe scientists whose literal job is to tell you, oh, the earth is mad.
Are you going to tell
Okay,
me
I
that?
believe you.
Yeah.
You have a device that reads the anger of the earth. What, do I know what the earth does?
Are you going to tell me I'm wrong?
You're gonna tell them they're wrong? No, I'm sorry.
Someone will. That's the
I
problem.
went to YouTube University. Get out of here. Believe scientists. That's what this series is. Then we had leading into eco horror. So not only does the earth get mad at us and throw weather at us, it also evolves to outlive us. So we have the first Last of Us game, and you can see my first cosplay of a clicker. We have Don't Look Up, which also will make you really sad and angry.
Yeah. Have you ever seen me and Leonardo DiCaprio in the same room? I feel like I really pulled that off.
Look at it.
The same guy.
Look at this hair. I want to do the Miss Crustacean. I won. This one's a really great found footage film. It's one
Yeah,
of my
highly
favorites.
recommend The Bay.
It's really scary, but you won't go to Maryland ever again.
Yeah, you'll never eat seafood.
You don't want to
ever
swim there.
again.
You don't want to swim there. You'll be afraid of isopods. But Don't Look Up. I still think of that when they're screaming like, and we're all gonna die. And they're like, and now on to the weather. And you're like, that's like, we kind of reference that all the time on our show because we genuinely feel like her. Sometimes we're like, it's not just red flags anymore. Like, we are sounding the alarm. We are the canaries in the coal mine. It's fucked. And people are like, okay, it's so funny. We also had fun in our horror musical series where we dressed up. Like, look at these. These are some pretty grade A cosplays. And we also had some great guests. There's Allie right there, dancing. And there's Roland. And he's one of our Ghouls Next Door.
Yeah.
People don't know, but Roland's on the
They're
page.
on the website.
If you click, it's Gabe, Kat, Roland. The musicals was just fun, but they're also really serious because they're like, oh, haha, it's funny musical. And then you're like, oh, this is about organ repossession. Let's talk about how that really happens. Or Eat the Rich, literally.
Yeah.
Or, oh God, it sucks being a femme person.
Yeah.
Anyway. Then we've also highlighted different directors, but this is one that really struck us. We're definitely not like, we don't put anyone on a pedestal. You shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Right?
Your heroes will disappoint you. Don't have them.
Just be real, you know?
Yeah.
Just be real.
People are people, and they're flawed.
Yes. So I have not loved everything that Mike Flanagan has done, but have I loved his exploration of grief? Where is it? Over here? These are all the stages of grief, plus us too. Have I loved his exploration of faith? Right there. Breaks my heart. We all go to the soup. We all return to the soup. And then have I loved his exploration of the pharmaceutical industry and the opioid epidemic?
Opioids are bad.
Right?
you
People
know?
are like, ah, ha, 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 funny, spooky TV show. And then we're like, this is about grief. This is about mental health
Yeah.
and trauma.
The
Like,
person
this
who
is what-
started the opioid epidemic had all the records sealed and is still, like,
And
not
they
in
profit
jail.
off of the medicine to help you get over opioid addiction.
It's a problem.
Sounding the alarm.
It's fine. It's not, but it's fine.
So watch that one. That's a good one. I think this is one of our favorites. It's definitely folks' favorites, and it's really sad. It is also a little like, see, we are being recorded. This one has like a whole moment because the show is where this family has made a deal with a demonic force to get power, and then they use that to do stuff in the medical industry. And then that demonic force comes to get its payments, and it kills them. And in that episode, I'm like, that doesn't happen in real life. They don't come for payment.
Where are the demons?
So I did say, be the Verna that you wish to see in the world. And I was like, in lieu of murder, I'm not condoning murder, but like do other things. And then, of course, a few months later, we had the adjuster happen. People know the keyword for some of the health insurance situations.
They were the Verna that we wanted to see.
A little Luigi Mario situation. And I was like, oh no, did he see me?
Did you watch our show?
Did I do that? Maybe, hopefully. Then we have our haunting series that we do actually want to bring back, but it's on this slide for a very special reason because it's award-winning.
We didn't have an air horn, so.
Yeah, we didn't have an air horn, so. In it, we talk about the coal towns in Pennsylvania, Centralia. We talk about Detroit and how sad it is. We talk about company towns. We also talk about the internet and doxing and how scary that is. And we talked about haunted prisons, which is just prisons. It was just a whole episode about what justice really is in the ways that we can re-envision a world where we don't have incarceration systems and instead we have an environment where we care about human beings and we want them to, thrive. And so we think about the structures that are in place to support that.
It's not restorative justice. They just want slavery again.
Yes, exactly. We want restorative justice. And so that episode, it's 2 parts. One is with Pascal, where we talk about the mental health of prisons, but then the award-winning one is where I actually talk to a currently incarcerated individual, and then also the recidivism office in the reentry office in Philly to talk about like what that journey is for people who are returning. So we're like smart.
Yeah. Witness it in this moment.
And not just.
Yeah.
Oh, look, cosplay evolution. There it is. Boop, boop, boop.
That one's the best one that's ever happened.
No, because there's Nosferatu.
Oh yeah. Okay.
2 good ones. And then Fallout. Those are both really good. And then, Kat, I'll let you talk about our author series.
This series made me start to read books. I don't know if anyone else has ADHD, but reading is hard. And this series really made me like, oh wow, books like really rock. We should read them. I highly, highly, highly recommend Parable of the Sower, especially in today's world. Read that.
But also self-care.
Self-care, yeah, it's a lot of horrible things happening, but it's like one of the best books ever.
Read it and then read something like fun.
Yeah.
Read like Smut or something.
But yeah, this series definitely, I was like, kind of changed my life from my role. So.
Yeah. We also talk about Handmaid's Tale. It's a classic. People know about that one, so you can listen to it. You can also listen to, like, these are all 2-parters where the first part is about the author, and we talk about who they are, how they chose that genre, and what moves them to write in the way that they write. And then the second part was unpacking some of their materials. And so you can learn about, why we shouldn't have heroes. Mm-hmm. Margaret Atwood, sometimes a wonderful person, sometimes also just very much her. But we have Octavia. I don't think I could say anything bad about Octavia and Kay, so they're perfect.
Yeah. Read Dawn.
Sylvia's also pretty wonderful.
Yeah.
But read books. As a fun thing that we started to do, because I read a lot of books, and shout out to my friend Vicky back there, who reads a lot of books. And so I did start, if you do follow us on social media, or if you don't, I do occasionally do a series where it's like, if you liked this film or this topic of
Let's
a film,
read about it. Yeah.
Here's a book you could read that might be equally exciting, or just like, here's a crazy book I just read that you might be moved to learn about. So check those out. Read a book. We really need literacy, media literacy, regular literacy on the downward trend.
Audiobooks exist.
Please,
also. You
audiobooks.
can listen to
those
books.
count.
Yeah.
Those count.
If they did it, I don't know if I have read a book.
Accessibility. It counts. And then our Mindfuck series, where we learned about simulated realities, and maybe we're in that now.
It'd be cool if they gave us G codes. Motherload, yeah.
Rosebud.
Yeah.
Up, down, left, right. Parallel
Sims
universes,
reference.
that's a really funny situation. And time travel, and this is when things got real, because we talked about See You Yesterday, which is a really emotional film. If anyone hasn't seen it, I recommend it. About this really intelligent young girl who invents time travel, and unfortunately, her time travel is limited to a few days because she's trying to go back in time to save her brother from being shot by the police. And that's you can't time travel if you're Black, especially in America. And that's essentially what that whole conversation is about, and really kind of kicked off a whole movement into talking about culture, talking about society, and talking about just what is happening right now that is horrific, and how horror is doing a great job of unpacking that for us and letting us digest it in a way that feels accessible, that feels safe, so that we can, as a community, kind of work through some of those heavier things and find catharsis, can find an ending, can find an imagined world where maybe we win and we fight the big bad.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what our hopes and dreams are for horror.
Yeah. Yeah, what are we doing, 300 episodes, man. We're going to talk about our favorite cosplays, which, as you can see, Gabe really kills it. Just, take a minute to appreciate,
There's a lot. These are just a few of my favorite things. Like I said, we dress up in our episodes, and so these are just a few. We don't have to dwell on them, but...
Nosferatu is the best thing that's ever happened to the internet. Just so everyone knows.
Look at this. Come on. You don't want this? You don't want this guy? Have you ever seen me and Jason say them in the same room?
I haven't, so maybe you're the same.
I'm the beekeeper. I keep bees. I'm also an alligator. I am, for people who didn't know, and I'm ashamed to admit, I am unfortunately from Florida.
So yeah, you get it.
Fellow Floridian sucks. You can't choose where you're from,
Yeah.
You could just get better. And then there's my clicker. This is me as a werewolf, but I do look like a Buffy vampire. And then Fallout, and then us. Dude, that's called Photoshop. Look it up.
You see how their eyes are missing? That's crazy.
Look at the eyes are out. The eyes are out. It's a mask. It's us. And then I'm an angel.
From Midnight Mass, specifically.
From Midnight Mass. And then I'm the sister, what's her name, from Watchmen show.
That was a long time ago.
Who knows
their
Sister
name?
Night? Sister Night. That feels correct.
Yeah?
Say yes. That was in 2020. That was a very long time ago. I can't be held accountable for what happened at that time. Cat. Here we go.
Mr. Bedeviled is really just nightmare fuel.
I will never not just sometimes think back to Mr. Bedevil.
My face can be really scary. I don't know. It was just a gift from the universe where, if I make my eyes wide, it's a problem. You look at me in the wrong angle, it's really a time.
Dr. Manhattan, hot alien. This is from Earth Girls Are Easy.
That's the hottest I've ever been, right over there.
It's Chris Evans from Snowpiercer.
Yeah.
Or it's actually Kat, everyone. It's actually Kat.
I literally sent that to multiple people, and I'd be like, I don't think I've ever been this hot. And then they were like, okay. Are you sure? I'm like, yes.
We did tag Chris Evans on Twitter when we did it. He didn't respond. He doesn't know he's missing. He doesn't know he's missing. And then Leo, of course. And then Sweeney Todd. It's a good one. Annabelle, Dr. Manhattan, Fallout. And then this is Predator. Your Predator is really good because mine looks like a child playing with face paint.
It's good.
It got really dirty.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's really cute.
I'm gonna go fight aliens. Now we're actually gonna talk about Squid Games.
Now it's time for our show. Let's do it. So if you're unfamiliar with our show, we're gonna talk about this film and
or TV show, whatever.
TV show. 2 seasons of it. So if you haven't seen it, we are going to talk about what it is.
Has anyone not seen Squid Game? Please raise your hand. Okay, excellent. So this won't be wasted on you. I love that because we wrote up synopsises, and that would like synopses. If for everyone who hasn't watched it, so that you know what's happening.
So first, we'll tell you what the general idea of the show is, and then we will break down what happens in each season, so that you have context for like what the hell we're talking about. So overall, Squid Game, which started in 2021 to today, it is hopefully season 3. We were left on quite a cliffhanger, a very sad, depressing cliffhanger of season 2. Should be happening this summer. Yeah. So if you are so moved by our discussion, go watch it. It does get a little gruesome, so I get that, but it's also like really important, and understanding like Korean culture and how like, oh, they're just like us. Mm-hmm. They suffer from a lot of the same things.
They also
you probably learned that from Bong Joon-ho's Parasite. So.
Yeah. Under capitalism in a sad way.
Yeah, but they did a cool thing, and they got rid of their fascist person, and they just celebrated that they're gone. So maybe we could learn a thing or two. So what the overall idea is, hundreds of cash-strapped players accept a strange invitation to compete in children's games, like we just did. Inside, a tempting prize awaits with deadly high stakes, a survival game that has a whopping 45.6 billion won prize at stake, and it's created by Hwang Dong-yuk. Won is different from dollars. You can look it up, how much that is.
Gabe has that on their ears.
I'm wearing 20,000 won, which I looked up is $13.
So yeah.
Tell me what happens in season 1.
So season 1 is a little more optimistic. You leave it like, okay, all right. So what happens is that we follow a character named Song Jin-hoon, a divorced father and gambling addict, drowning in debt. Essentially, everyone that you witness on the show is drowning in debt and with really no way out. When approached by a mysterious stranger, the man who slaps and plays Dokji, he accepts an invitation to play children's games for money. What he doesn't realize is that he's entering a deadly contest where 456 desperate players who are debt-ridden and need the money compete for a life-changing $45.6 billion won prize, which is $38 million USD. The players are taken to a remote island and it's run by masked staff in pink jumpsuits with little shapes on their faces. And the contestants soon discover the horrifying truth that getting eliminated means that you're gonna die. And it starts like, you think everything's chill. We're playing red light, green light. Everyone's played red light, green light. And then if you move, once the red light happens, you're murdered.
They shoot you down. And that, of course, causes like
panic,
and then everyone
tries to run away.
And then they get shot. And
yeah, it's very sad. So despite the shocking bloodshed, most remaining players choose to stay. Like they vote and they're like, yeah, we need the money. So actually, I can't do better outside of this game. So we're gonna do that. And they choose to stay. And then essentially he forms alliances with several players. Yeah, you can say that. It was his childhood friend, Cho Sang-woo, and an elderly man named Il-nam, and a North Korean defector named Kang Se-buk, and a Pakistani migrant worker named Ali Abdul. And they're like, you really care about these characters, so it's like devastating when you watch them experience these really horrifying games. And as they progress, including deadly versions of tug-of-war, marbles, and glass stepping stones, alliances fracture under the pressure, and like everyone kind of just like, other than our main character, is like, greed. I need this money more than you. If you die, I have more money. And so you really like see people embrace the worst parts of themselves, while Ji-hoon is like, please don't, can we just have empathy for each other? Like, love your fellow man. So essentially we see a lot of betrayal, and essentially everyone starts to die off. So the old man is said to have died, and Gi-hoon is like struggling with the emotions of that. And in a gut-wrenching twist, Sang-woo kills Se-buk when she's already wounded, ensuring a place in the finale.
Mm-hmm. And this is after Sang-woo already killed Ali.
Yeah.
It's really, honestly, heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It hurts.
It's like very much like what people tell you the apocalypse will be, where like you can't trust your friends. But and I trust Gi-hoon, but that's it.
Yeah, it's the marbles episode, so it happens right after tug of war, where they've learned like to work together as a team, and so they form this allegiance, and then they're split up, and of course they team up with like
the people they
new
like.
friend, and somebody has to die, and so that's kind of like the whole game.
Yeah,
somebody's got to die.
So it's really devastating. And then in the final game, Ji-hoon is against Sang-woo, his childhood friend, in the titular Squid Game, as the show is named. With victory within reach, Gi-hoon offers to end the game altogether. Like, you can vote to say, if everyone majority, we can go home. And Sang-woo, like, consumed by the shame and guilt of everyone he's basically sacrificed to get where he is, ends his own life so that Gi-hoon can go on. And after winning, a traumatized Gi-hoon discovers the elderly Il-nam, who you like fall in love with. This old man that like Gi-hoon is protecting the entire time was actually the creator of the games, who participated for fun while dying of a brain tumor because he was really rich and was like, this is a fun time. It wasn't, it was really sad. So shaken by all this, he doesn't want to spend the blood money, and he's like determined to fight against the games. And that's what we really see gear up to season 2.
So season 2 starts up with Gi-hoon having assembled a crack team of people who are, it's actually like the people he was indebted to. Now he has all this money, he paid off his debts, and now they work for him, and they're scouring the subways to find the slapping man, to find the games. And so they're trying to do that. We do find the recruiter, slapping man, very handsome slapping man. You know,
he's a little evil though, you know, when they're bad and they're
really
bad,
crazy.
You know?
He's really crazy. And in season 2, he doesn't just do the slapping game. We actually see him approach a park that's full of houseless people, and he approaches them with a piece of bread or money. And he says, will you play a game to either get bread or money?
Well, the lottery ticket, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like either food for today or some money for something, a lottery ticket, yeah. And so, yeah, the promise of more than bread, right? And we see that majority of those folks do take the lottery ticket, the scratch ticket, versus the bread. And it's like, see, poor people, right?
You really learn that the hot slapping man is like probably a sociopath.
Yeah. And then Gi-hoon does team up with another handsome man, Detective Jun-ho, who's in one of my favorite K-dramas. Is the second male lead, so he doesn't get picked, but we picked him in our hearts. And he hatches a plan because his brother, spoiler season 1, is the front man. He had gone into the games looking for his brother who went missing, and he thought, oh, my brother's a contestant. He won, he became the front man. It corrupts us, right? And he was shot by his brother, he survived, and now he's like, I'm coming back in.
Yeah.
So they had to plan to get in there, so Gi-hun is back in the games, baby. And they're just like they always are, except you think, okay, Gi-hun's in the game, he knows how it plays, it should be easy for him to be like, all right, everyone, let's fight back, let's not play into their bullshit. And they're like, no, we want money.
Yeah.
It's
People,
we're desperate.
right? Disappointing.
Yeah, it does start with the red light, green light, so it does tease him into thinking that he'll know what the games are, and then it switches it up into some really fun, scary games. We also get some new players, so we get new people to be really sad about that we're attached to. We get a mother-son duo, which is like super heartbreaking. Like mom's just out there trying to protect the son. We get a famous rapper named Thanos, who's like really fun. He's so silly.
I like switched from English because the rap in English was terrible. And then I switched back to Korean, and it was still terrible. He was not
But
good.
in like the best of ways.
Yeah, it was silly.
He also, fun fact, side fact, the actor for that used to be in a K-pop group as a rapper, and like they kind of ousted him because he like smoked pot or something.
Oh. That's super illegal in Korea, so that makes sense.
It happens a lot in that world. It's if you watch it, please do subtitles. You'll miss a lot of context if you don't do subtitles. There's also a pregnant woman and her YouTube boyfriend, a transgender ex-Marine, which is one of again, why you should have subtitles on, because of the words that are used to talk to her confirm her identity. And so it's really important to like understand the context of relationship that this girl is calling her big sister in Korean, and that's like a big deal because again she's trans. And then of course we get Gi-hun and the front man playing as a player as 001.
They're always evil. You think you would have like called on and he was like,
He's like, this is my new friend, I love him. And also Gi-hun's child, another friend from life, is playing because he can't win. They play, it gets desperate, they try to fight back, and we end with them trying to revolutionize. They're literally gunning people down, trying to get to the front man who's literally right next to them.
but they don't know.
And of course, the front man's right there, so it doesn't win. So we were kind of really sad at the end of season 2. That's why I'm really holding out for season 3. But there's a reason why we chose Squid Game in talking about horrors of society. This is a series that we come back to all the time. We've covered it in a number of ways because society is terrifying. And there's a number of ways that, like, it's usually capitalism, it's usually white supremacy, and it's usually the patriarchy that are doing something to people. And with Squid Game, you know, I think season 1 we've covered before, and it is a really great like conversation about capitalism. But I think having season 2 where we return to the games and we're like trying to fight back, and it's really hard to do that, feels really important right now.
Yeah.
In a time where it does feel like we are also up against a big insurmountable evil, and it's important to remember that we outnumber them. So we're going to dive into some of that media literacy of why we chose this. Thank you. Season 1.
Yeah, so basically what we see in season 1 is that like they're preying upon people who have gambling addiction, like, and who are in situations that are so unable to be escaped by like staying above board, that like literally their only way out is to bank on this lottery, that they're just so buried under poverty that like they have no other choice than to die in the real world or die in the games. Like you get like they go home and they're like, I'm gonna go back in because like out here sucks and in there suck too, but like at least I have a chance at winning millions of dollars to get me out of this situation. So they really like prey on people, and like a big thing that Ji-hun's like pushing most of his time is that like they're preying on innocent people who have no other choice. There's an illusion of choice. They have to be in the games because the world is just as unforgiving as the children's games that they're playing. And it's just like a really big struggle that feels really insurmountable and accurate to what life is.
I think the other thing that Kat was talking about when we were planning for this episode too is that the persistence of Gi-hun's like goodness is really important in season 1 because everyone's kind of falling to these like this typical idea that when we're against the wall, it's us versus them, that we will turn on each other, that it's just one bad day from like being mean and killing each other. That's not true. Like, that's not what happens. Generally, in times of disaster or crisis, we unite, we help each other. We'll put ourselves in harm's way to help each other. It's just like literally what happens.
The power of empathy.
We talk a lot about disaster utopias. Our 301 episode, which will be coming out soon, is about that as well. But he persists, and he really is this like antagonist to Ilnam, who's this elderly man who's like, I made these games to show you just how, like, just you throw a little money at someone who needs money to survive, and they'll do anything. Yeah. And he's like, I'm not doing nothing. Like, I won because you wouldn't let me not win, No. I would rather everyone be alive and I still be in the gutter than have all this money. And he refuses to use it for the longest time. And that's really important to hold on to. I think what my biggest takeaway besides just that is that the idea of pitting each other against each other, like, and this idea that if there's someone below you, then you're not on the bottom. Mm-hmm. When the reality is we're all on the bottom. We are all on this bottom rung, and there's just a little few people at the tippity top, and if they keep us distracted long enough, fighting each other, putting ourselves in the rink, then we won't have enough time to stop and think about how we can actually unite and fight them. Mm-hmm. And then we have, did you want to talk about Fall of the House of Usher?
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen Fall of the House of Usher, but in that show, they have, in Mike Flanagan's show, there's a big speech made by Madeline Usher, who's like this really rich lady who basically sold her soul to a demon, and is like, give me all the wealth, I don't really care how many people I have to murder. And they basically like talk about how the oppressed people ask for the harm that they experience, like a very white woman, like they ask for us to poison them and do, like, you're addicted to McDonald's, like, you know what I mean? Like, you deserve this. And that's very similar in Squid Games, where in the second season especially, they really play upon the fact that the people who are running the games and the people who are at the top really just view the people participating in the games as trash. So there's this whole argument that's very similar between the two shows that basically like the people who make the addictive substances are less evil because the people at the bottom need the addictive substances. And it's like, no, that's not how addiction works. Actually, the person who's making the addictive substance is pretty evil. And just because someone is falling victim to that, it's not like the victim's fault. It's very victim blaming, the rich. So yeah, it's just like the shows really kind of complement each other, even though they're made by totally different people and in totally different countries.
Mm-hmm. But a lot of similar issues. I think that's why Squid Game, Parasite, and a lot of like Korean horror specifically does resonate. It has a lot of similar struggles and themes that we can resonate with here. In season 2, because we're like Gi-hoon's in on it, we kind of see that shift of, oh, we're figuring out capitalism is bad, to, okay, now what do we do about it, and how hard it is to fight against it. And I think what my takeaways from that was that it is very difficult, but it's not impossible. I know we're left on this like cliffhanger of like, oh, it's hopeless, people are dying that we cared about again. But it isn't, like, there's a reason why they're afraid. There's a reason why the front man joined the games, because he knows the power of Gi-hoon as a sympathetic, empathetic human coming into the games and telling people that you actually have a fighting chance. And I think season 2 also has a great twist where they show us the backstory of the pink employees, and you see how they were corrupted, or you see their desperation, and turns out, oh, they're victims too, right? Because I think in like season 1, Sang-woo, as much as he is a villain, he isn't the villain. He's also a victim in it, and that's not to excuse his murder and the things that he did in the game. Absolutely, he's awful. But you can see how he was led to that because he was like he was put on this pillar, on this pedestal, and holding on a lot of responsibilities that is really strong in like Korean culture too. And so seeing it from the viewpoint of the employees and how they feel like, oh, again, it's that idea of like, if I'm the one pointing the gun, then there's not a gun at me. but there is,
Yeah.
right? You are also a pawn in the full game.
Yeah, you have like infighting amongst the groups too that just like makes it really compelling, and also you're like, wow, I really just wish we could all be friends and work together. It's more complicated than that, but.
So that's like your crash course into a Ghouls episode. And you know, our Horrors of Society series that we're kicking off for the rest of this month and a little bit into May is this, we're kind of exploring pieces that are, you know, moving forward from just the like, hey, this thing sucks. We're moving on to how hard it is to fight against, but it is not impossible. And I think that's something that we really want to drive home, especially with these things. Like, they can be so depressing and so heartbreaking to watch. And honestly, the message is missed. Like, media literacy barely exists.
A lot of people left Squid Games too, and were like, they played less games. That sucked. And it was like, we don't want them to play the games, actually. It would be really great if they could survive. Why are we rooting for their murder?
And then they're playing Squid Game. Like, I know we were playing silly games, but no one died. You know, like, they were playing, Mr. Beast was like, oh, I'm going to give you a lot of money, and then he didn't, and then he abused people. It's a whole thing. It's like Great Gatsby parties. Like, did you read the book? I don't even like the book, but I'd like you to read it and get it. It's like literature 101. Rich people suck. That's the thesis. So media literacy is usually rich people suck. And
we've had 300 episodes to verify that rich people do in fact suck.
So before we close it out, we did want to play just a little game of, we like to, I do, I don't know if Kat says this as well, but I love to say, there's a Ghouls for that. We got some stickers of it. So whenever someone brings up a topic, or they're like whining about something, or they're like, oh, I just read this book, or I read this article, or what have you, they love to say, like, they'll say it now and go, there's a Ghouls for that. There's an episode about that. So I wanted to invite folks to kind of like just shout out like a theme or an idea or a topic.
I'll let you know if there's a Ghouls for that. Maybe you'll catch us and we haven't done it.
Yeah.
And then we'll have to, like, because it's a contract between the audience and us. Who would like to guess? Shout it out. You don't have to come up here. That's a lot of pressure.
It. Hockey. Oh, that's a good one. There's not a Ghouls for that, but there will be a Ghouls for soccer soon.
We've never done hockey? I'm surprised.
I don't even think anyone's played hockey.
Wow, we already lost.
Damn.
We thought it was going to take a few more tries. We really uncovered a lot of things. You really got us.
Pick something else. Oh, abortion. Oh, there's a Ghouls for that.
We need more plants, like, to shout out.
The healthcare industry. Oh, there's a Ghouls for that. Sloths. There's a Ghouls for that. What is it? Oh, the Tire movie? We have not covered the Tire movie.
It is one of my favorite movies.
We have covered like Final Destination, which I feel like is like a, you know, absurd things killing you. You know? Oh, yes. Episode number 3, baby. We talk about sleep paralysis. We talk about...
I have narcolepsy.
We talk about narcolepsy. Did you know that, like, all around the world, people experience the same paralysis demon of, like, a guy in the hat? It's creepy. What happens to your brain, buddies? Anyone have sleep paralysis before? So scary. Have anyone seen the man with the hat? See, in this room.
I feel like that means the man with the hat is real.
I think he's real. It's kind of weird if someone like, I don't live in your house. Like, what the?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got so excited.
Yes. Sex work is real work. We did
literally.
Cam.
We covered Cam.
Cam the film. Cam the film, great film. I could not recommend it enough. And we actually had, we've talked to sex workers on the episode as well. So we really talk about what that is. And it's more of like that commodification of a person and an idol.
Feeling entitled to who they are outside of their work.
Perfect Blue is kind of in that as well, because it's kind of doing some sex work. We'll take
Purses.
Curses.
That's different.
Curses. I feel like
We've
Final
definitely done
Destination counts as a
curses.
curse.
The Wishmaster.
Oh,
stuff
yes.
like that.
Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, that was like really
That was
early.
so fun. That was a good one where your dad was a trash.
Does anyone else just
picker.
like fall asleep in the middle of the day and wake up to the Wishmaster movies on like TBS when you're a kid and you're not old enough to witness that?
That's true. We
just
did
me.
curses. Any other random? Oh,
yeah,
yes.
definitely.
Many
of them. We appreciate you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, Final Girl, for sure. Obviously, that's a lovely trend that happens in horror. Horror is one of the genres that we do get to see, like, women and femfolk at the helm and surviving and fighting back. It's kind of like a regular occurrence.
Sometimes it's just people really like to torture women on screen, and
That's
it's bad.
That's awful.
But sometimes it's empowering.
Mm-hmm. I love when they have an excuse that's not like they're just evil for evil's sake. I love an evil woman just to be evil, you know?
Yeah. It doesn't have to be like rape, revenge, or...
Yeah. It could just, I'm just angry.
Yeah.
I
We have
have
lots
that
of
day.
reasons to be angry.
I have
It
the
turns
same
out.
reasons men have or something, like
Yeah.
whatever. Well, we have a whole slew of things, and you might hear, you might bring up something, and I will probably say there's goals for that.
Except for hockey.
Roland does that all the time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be like, what about taxes? I'm like, there's goals for that. What about, economic inequality? There's goals for
There's
that.
a lot of goals for
What about
that.
time travel?
Grief is something we talk about a lot also, so...
Oh, yes. The ocean, that was what that's Cat's fear.
Fun fact, those like documentaries, they're just like go into the ocean and they're just showing you what's down there? That's a horror film. My actual nightmare. I watch it like to scare myself often.
I think there's a slide for it. Where is it? There it is. That's a sticker.
That's a sticker.
Ocean. That's Cat's fear. It's super scary. Obviously, the weather. We have animals.
Why don't we know what's down there,
Musicals, everything. Awesome. So that's 300 episodes. And you were here for it.
In our 300th episode, they'll hear your clapping. So you're on the show. Now you can officially raise your hand the next time we're like, were you on our show?
You live in our basement. Yes, so be sure to tune in to the rest of the Horrors of Society series we have and we're also going to be talking about season 2 of Severance. People, it's spooky stuff, really stressful stuff, especially now. And hopefully it does motivate and educate and understand that like we can not just be passive viewers or listeners to media, but understand that there is usually a different, or there's an intention behind it.
Yeah, people make things the way that they do for a reason most of the time.
Mm-hmm. And like two people can watch the same thing and get different things. For sure, we are not the end all be all of things, but we implore you to think about it.
YouTube will sometimes tell us we're wrong.
And we say, this isn't feminist at all.
They were in love.
Yeah, they were in love. It wasn't abuse.
Yeah.
You can abuse someone you love. No, you can't.
You can't. Actually,
Spoilers.
Bell Hooks said that you can't.
Yeah, so just put your media literacy glasses on in a rewatch and think, what is this trying to teach me or tell me? And don't get married. Let your kids. Thank you for watching. That's it. Check us out. Thank you so much.